Good morning, friends. Welcome to our channel IAS Mains. The topic of discussion today is clean cooking technology. So let's start with the first slide. See, this topic is related to the social justice syllabus of IAS. What is the context? See, over the last 15 years, the government of India has attempted to replicate the success that liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) adoption has seen in urban households. In poorer and rural households, the ambitious Pradhanmantri Ujjwala Yojana (PMUY) has provided more than 9.5 crore new households with LPG connections since 2016. With near universal coverage of LPG, this is nothing short of an administrative and operational miracle. However, for the first time, LPG consumption in Indian households saw an absolute reduction in FY23 minus 0.5% versus FY22. After years of steady growth, the questions are: how long must India consider just subsidizing LPG to improve adoption? Second, and what are the other options that it can explore? The LPG story. In the recent past, the share of Indian households using LPG as the primary cooking fuel had risen to 71% in 2020 from 33% in 2011, according to the Indian Residential Energy Consumption Survey (IRES) conducted by the Council on Energy, Environment and Water (CEEW). See, you can see a table here depicting LPG refills average refill per beneficiary from the FY 2017 to 2021 to 22. You can see that there is a steady growth from 1.9 to 3.4 average refill per beneficiary, and the LPG refills steady growth is from to 3.7 crore to 31.3 crore. Cumulative increase in PMUY connection is from 2 crore to 9 crore, more than in four multiples. Then in FY21, three free cylinders were provided to all PMUY consumers as part of the Pradhanmantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. This drove the annual refill rates for LPG among PMUY consumers to their highest levels of 4.55 cylinders per active connection from 3 to 4 cylinders in other years. Further, a nominal subsidy of Rs 200 per cylinder were reinstated for PMUY consumers in September 2022, and it helped improve refill rates in FY23 4.09 versus FY22 3.68. It was a clear indication that Indian households wanted to adopt clean cooking solutions, and policy could overcome preferences and financial barriers. Associated challenges. Average refill rates for active non-PMUY consumers are in slow decline. 40% of PMUY consumers choose to get two or fewer refills in a year. In 2021, of the possible 22.4 crore free cylinders available for the taking, only 14.1 crore were consumed. There could be multiple reasons for the low LPG consumption among PMUY beneficiaries, such as high price making refill affordable. Last year, a survey of the Delhi-based Council on Energy, Environment and Water (CEEW) found that despite increased LPG access, 38% of Indian households, mainly in rural areas, relied upon freely available solid fuels primarily due to high refill price of LPG cylinders. An LPG refill in March 2014 was priced at 410, which has now increased to Rs 1060. The high transportation costs as distributors are far away. Lack of awareness about the benefits of LPG, insufficient decision-making power of women in a household. Besides, many have raised concerns over not receiving their fuel subsidies on time. The survey CEEW mentions that 13% of the household didn't receive the subsidy for their last LPG refill and 23% didn't know if they had received it or not. Another challenge is that India's dependence on imported LPG, the refined commodity, has steadily increased to over 64% in FY 23 versus 46% in the pre-PMUI phase, so it is not viable to provide a huge subsidy as it was being provided in the last 2 decades for the 21st century. Further, Indian households have seen a near doubling in LPG prices since May 2020. In nominal terms, it is compelling users to return to their traditional way of cooking. Way forward. To resolve this impasse, India's clean cooking policy must actively pivot towards the adoption of a suite of clean cooking technologies and shift from an LPG only strategy. For example, electric cooking, including induction cooktops, and significantly offset the need for flame based cooking. With nearly 100% access to electricity connections, rural households can also shift specific cooking needs to electricity. A CEEW study finds that even at a high tariff of Rupee 8 for each unit of electricity, e-cooking would still be cheaper than cooking using LPG at today's prices. Equally, there are legitimate concerns about the power distribution grid in rural India and its ability to support all electric cooking, given the high power needs of the extant technology. In urban areas, nearly 10% of households already use electrical appliances for their cooking needs, and they can see the bigger transition that we want to realize in rural areas. One possible mechanism to nudge the shift to e-cooking could be through telescopically increasing LPG prices beyond a threshold, say 7 cylinders that the average household consumes today. This could displace LPG in higher use groups and in turn create a demand for new e-cooking technologies and models and precipitate a bandwagon effect. Demand from these early adopters can then spur the domestic manufacturing ecosystem for e-cooking technology and stem this runaway dependence on imported LPG and crude and the outflow of precious forex. This requires targeted support in the interim for manufacturers to embrace efficiency and design for the needs of Indian households. How about a gas and electric cooktop in one device for a start? Displacement of chulhas by e-cooking would also avoid climate pollutant release. With the newly launched carbon market, India can monetize these avoided emissions and help finance the capital needed by poorer rural communities to adopt e-cooking. The debate needs to move from LPG subsidy alone to financing and business models that value India's clean cooking transition for its climate and clean air benefits through a bucket of solutions. Government needs to adopt an advanced subsidy module. Currently, PMUI beneficiaries need to pay the entire cylinder cost and wait for their subsidy reimbursement, which takes a few days and too, can be unreliable too. This has a major impact on the cash flow of poor consumers and discourages them from purchasing LPG refills. To address this issue, the government can make advance subsidy payments to the OMCs based on their sales estimates, which can be reconciled on, say, a quarterly basis. This will enable the OMCs to transfer subsidies immediately to the beneficiary's account as soon as a purchase is recorded on a point of sale machine. This process is similar to how the public distribution system for good grains works. There is also a need to improve the distribution network and enhance the accountability of public sector oil marketing companies and distributors. Distributors in rural areas may be permitted to undertake some other businesses from the same premises to increase their incomes. In 2020, Prayas, in one of its research papers, called for an independent regular, regulator for the LPG sector, which could help in ensuring service quality, fair pricing, and distribution. Thank you.